we are back, and I have for you today somebody that's pretty near and dear to my heart. She is a new author. She is a small businesswoman, but she's also my older sister. And yes, I throw older in there just because she's older. So today we're going to discuss her brand new book. We actually kind of started this process together, and she is going to share with you how she powered through a little bit faster than what I did, though don't worry, with good sister rivalry, I will catch back up, I promise. So Ashleigh, I'm going to let you kind of give your background so I don't mess anything up, because I'm prone to do that. And then we'll kind of talk about where you are right now.
So my background is I grew up in Southeast Tennessee, right alongside you and our youngest sister, Amy. And mom and dad live in the same house that they've lived in for 40 years, while I've been traveling around the entire country for the last, 18.
And this family has almost caught up to her family. They have moved, I think, 2 more times than what we have to date. Don't worry. Give me 2 years. All
right. You can have that goal. That can be your trophy. Yeah. So it was with a nudge from Amber that I got started writing a book, and I thought we were going down this path together.
She stayed up longer nights than I did. I don't know what to say.
Somebody had to move to Alabama and bailed on me.
It got crazy. So actually I live pretty close to where you went to college.
So my story really probably starts as far as this journey, this portion of it, in September of 1998 in Auburn, Alabama at Auburn University. And the very first week of school, I met who would become my husband the week after we graduated.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And it's quite funny at Thanksgiving, though Thanksgiving looked very different this year for our family. Usually there's a healthy rivalry going on between all the SEC schools, because Dad is a Go Vols fan. Ashleigh and her husband Drew are War Eagle, and Christopher and I, of course, are Mississippi State. So we've got the South covered pretty well.
Yeah, we know who we love and we know who we don't love.
Yeah, well, we won't name those people. You graduated, y'all moved a lot, getting situated. What states were you in? You were in a lot of states.
Yeah, we did Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Washington State, and Pennsylvania.
Okay, so I would say through all the traveling, you definitely saw lots of cultural diversity, lots of different ways to live, and you picked up things that you loved and things that you didn't love along the way.
I think the food is the thing that's most distinctly different in all the places that we've lived, and the things that you miss the most when they're regional.
We have not actually gone north yet. I have a feeling this next time, though, we might be in the running for the north. But I do love my southern fare. So tell me about Onex. Onex is the company that you and your husband do what with?
Yeah, so Onex is a 54-year-old company. We were started in 1966 right here in Erie, Pennsylvania, by 2 gentlemen named Alex Morehauser and Jack Gordon. So the O-N from Gordon and the E-X from Alex are how we got to be Onex. We could have easily been Exxon, but nope, we're Onex. At the time, it was taken. I don't actually think it was taken at the time, but it doesn't matter. So the 2 gentlemen, they simply distributed refractory products. And refractory products are, you can think of as, the concrete that you'd buy at Lowe's, you mix it with water, but it's used in high temperature applications, anything over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So high temperature concrete would be a good way to think of it. all they did was resold somebody else's product. And that remains a portion of our business, but not a large portion of the business. We went on to install those products, and we also went on to work on the combustion systems, which is the outside of the furnaces. And then we build brand new furnaces and equipment as well. So the business has really progressed over its 54-year life. My husband's father, Ric Walters, owned the business. He was the majority owner, and in 2018, Drew and I bought the business from Ric. And we went on to sell the business again this year in 2020 amidst COVID to all of our employees.
What does that, so how does that work? So it goes from Mr. Ric to you and Drew, and then you sold it to the employees. Just like in layman's terms here, like what does that mean?
So the biggest reason for making that decision was third generation family owned businesses are only 12% successful. So our children, while very smart and could totally do it if they so chose, they don't have a great probability of success just statistically. So Drew and I knew when we purchased the business from Ric that we needed to really think about what our succession plan was going to be in the future. And I know at 40 years old, we seem a little young to think about retirement, but
I'm thinking about retirement.
We landed upon an ESOP as we were trying to determine what the future would look like for the company. And it just made total sense to us. We are able to sell the company to the employees. The employees never put in a dime of their own money. All they have to do is work hard every day, come to work, and they will be rewarded with a retirement account that will be 2.5 times higher than a normal 401k.
Okay, so that makes super perfect sense. In the way of business. And of course, the first time Ashleigh was trying to explain this to me, you could seriously see my brain oozing out of my ears, because let me step back a second. There are 3 daughters. Ashleigh is the engineer. She's the math and science and all things amazing there. I am your arts and designer and list make. Oh, Ashleigh's a list maker too. And then Amy is very talented as well, but she goes more on the service side where she loves to serve others. So it is quite, not only are we an SEC family across the board, but we are also very diverse when it comes to what we do in our family. And I bet if you look through your family, through the listeners' families, they do the exact same thing. So that's kind of neat. I love how our family rolls with that. So the company is now employee owned. What was the catalyst for the book? Why do you think you felt that it was right now the time to write the book?
So for a couple reasons. Back in 2017, like as I reflected on why was I writing the book, I realized the journey kind of started in 2017. I was asked to go to Congress and speak to the Pennsylvania delegation about the importance of manufacturing. And my response was, I will do it if everyone else says no. So the hope was I wasn't going to have to do it, but turns out everybody else said no. So I did it, and it just came across so well, and I was thanked for sharing our story, that I told myself I will speak anytime when asked, unless I have a really good reason not to. And my really good reason not to, like, sometimes is a little wishy-washy, but I really think about it and say, is this, the right thing to do? So I went on to speak to the Commonwealth state legislator and their manufacturing caucus. And each time I still told the story, whether it's been at Women in Manufacturing or for the engineering students at Penn State Barron, everybody has come up to me and has had some point of the story that they resonate with. And they all resonate with something different. And so in the midst of COVID and with a giant nudge in the butt from Amber, I decided that it would be a good idea to write the book and to share it to share our story with so many who could be impacted by it. They could think, hey, that sounds like me too, and see that there's a way through the struggle. So I hope that it comes off as an inspiration to those who are in a similar situation.
Y'all, I am her favorite sister, except Amy. She's also her favorite sister, if you're listening, Amy. But I've yet to read the book. I keep on nudging a little bit. I'm like, okay. Let me just read a little. No, she's closed it down, y'all. She said no. You did send me one page. Loved that page. Yes, super motivational for sure. So if somebody were looking at a new read, who would you say you were writing to in the book? Who was your audience?
Yeah, so I definitely thought I was writing for a generation of manufacturers, because manufacturing has always been, well, since the Industrial Revolution, has been very command and control. So you just do whatever the boss says to do, and the boss says to do it, and you do it. Today, you can't be like that. You're not going to survive if you are like that. Technology is changing so fast that we have to be an agile organization. And so one of the greatest pieces of advice that Dad ever gave to me was when I started out as an engineer. He looked at me and he said, "It's great. You went to school for 4 years. You don't know anything." And I was like, "Yowzers."
You're a trainable monkey.
He said, "You need to go to the plant floor and ask the people on the front lines that are closest to the work what their problems are, and then you need to work to help them fix them." He says, "You don't need to be telling anybody what to do." And so I took that with me into my career. And even in my internship, I went and I sat with the plant operators and I asked the guys, I said, "Okay, if we did this, what would happen?" And they would tell me. And then one time I got to a point where I asked, "Well, if we did this, what would happen?" And the operator said, "Well, I don't know. We've never tried that before." And so he gave it a shot for me. And I was supposed to extend the run life of this piece of equipment from 2 days to 3 days. And it was going to save the company a whole bunch of money. Well, the operator and I got it between 7 and 8 days. And so it was huge success. And everybody, well, the plant engineer that the operators wouldn't talk to because he was cocky, they said, "How did you get him to do that?" And I said, "I brought biscuits and asked questions."
But were they sausage biscuits?
I think they were Bojangles biscuits, if I remember.
But were they Bowberry biscuits?
I don't know. I don't remember. It's been too long. But the point was, Dad's advice was absolutely correct. You know, he'd spent his life on the plant floor. He'd spent his life with the white hats, the management team coming in and telling him what to do. And Dad will tell you the story where the manager said, "Do this." And Dad said, "You're going to break the paper." And he said, "Do it." And Dad did it. And the paper broke and the machine went down. So just understanding that you don't have to have all the answers. You don't need to have all the answers. You can go and ask questions. And people out there do have the answers, and they'll be willing to tell you if you're kind.
You know, I think that's a resounding line and theme throughout anyone's life. I think that's why anybody would resonate with this book, because tell me the name of the book. I didn't even say that earlier.
Yes, it's called Leading with Grit and Grace.
So give me the definitions of grit and grace.
So I define grit as determination, persistence, and resilience. And I define grace as empathy and compassion. And I think those are the two things with which leaders need to lead with.
And that across the board, even though I am not in manufacturing, I am not in that type of business setting, when I am leading through what I do, it's the same thing. You still need grit and grace. And I love those words. I know they could go on the southern side of things a little bit, but there's determination. It sounds elegant, but yet it also sounds very hardworking too.
Yeah, so when I introduce the book, I talk about how I work in a very gritty industry, and that I lead with grace, and most days wearing pearls if I can, as long as I'm not on the plant floor. But you know, a pearl is started with a grit in an oyster's mouth that just over time turns into a pearl. So that too has something to be said. Like, you do all the hard work, and over time you gain the experience, you have the knowledge, and then it's time to pay it back. So then you've got to have some gratitude too.
Oh, that right there. I feel like if there was anything to be learned before you read the book, it would be those key things right there. You work hard, you're driven by your passion, and maybe it's not your passion, because I don't think growing up you said, I'm going to work in refractory. That sounds fantastic. I like it, but you then took what you excel at, which is, I don't want to go too deep into what the book is going to be talking about, but truly, let me throw in an Ashleigh story real quick. Don't go to Walmart with Ashleigh and a TI 83 plus. Or was it a TI 89? I don't know. It was a calculator that she always had in her purse. So here I am, I'm bebopping down the aisles, and I'm like, woo, let's get this hair thing and this thing and ooh, school supplies. And Ashleigh's like, nope, it is 60 cents cheaper at Staples. And then we would have to get in the car and drive over to Staples. And I was like, couldn't we have, okay. Every time it didn't matter. Do not shop with her. She always has a plan. But she is very efficient. She wants to know that her decisions and choices are on target, leading to the next step. So there is no room for waste in there, which is what I'm sure she talks about a little bit in the book.
That's a very good point, and I didn't remember that story, for one. But two,
smoke would come out of her fingers. It was crazy.
It's funny though, because it's exactly what I did. So to your first point, no, this is not what I dreamed I would be doing. I had no idea, but I have always said yes to opportunities that make sense for me. And I just don't never know where they're going to lead me. So therefore, here I am, and I would have never known. Number two, when I took over as general manager for the business, we were in dire straits financially. And I didn't have a lot of money, and I didn't have a lot of resources to do the things I needed to do. But I am an excellent grant finder. So I found the money that I needed to do what I wanted to do.
And, that's what small businesses must do, especially right now when things are looking so much different than even a year ago. I feel like you have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone, be willing to do the hard thing, make some sacrifices, change it up,
Yeah,
and then get going again.
very true.
And I can guarantee on a mom's side, Ashleigh has 2 kiddos, we have 2 kiddos, and they're literally the 2 youngest are
6
a
months
week
apart, or the 2 youngest, 1 week apart.
And then the oldest are 6, 7 months apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it is so funny when they get together, because you can see their little brains. It's like, okay, that didn't work. We're going to try this. There is usually no giving up in a situation. And I like to think that we're passing that on along. Let's just get it done. Get it done. And make it's not going to be pretty. It's not always pretty. It's messy.
We say make things better. And that's actually the mission for the company, is to make things better. So continuously improving every day. The symbol for Onex is a diamond. It was the symbol for Alchemy when the owners first started it. And Alchemy's purest definition is the pursuit of perfection. And so I always tell everybody that we're pursuing perfection, understanding that we're never going to reach it. But we're going to make things better every single day and continuously improve.
So so that's the mission, but do you have core values at work?
Yeah, we do. Be inspired, be creative, work hard, be kind, and stay humble.
Always.
Always.
There's always something to be learned from the worker. There's always something to be learned from the leader.
Yeah.
You have to a lot of give and take. Okay. So I also remember you telling me about a bracelet.
Yes. So when I moved to Washington State, I had a 4-month-old and a 22-month-old, 26-month-old maybe. Anyway, yeah, he had just turned 2. So we moved, 3,000 miles from family, and Drew had taken a new position, and it was the recession, the financial crisis, and it was just something we had to do for our family, and I just had to suck it up, Buttercup. Yep. And Nicole Flippin gave me a bracelet that said 2 roads diverged in the wood, and I took the one less traveled, and it made all the difference. And so I wore that bracelet anytime I had to make a hard decision, and there are a lot of hard decisions to be made in a business, especially when you're on a turnaround. So I wore that bracelet, and I would look at it, and I would just kind of get the butterflies out of my belly and say, you're making the right decision. You're going to do this. It'll be okay. And so I went on to wear that bracelet until 2015. And then I had to make a very hard decision in closing our North Carolina office. And so when I went to meet with the team, I had to tell one girl who wasn't particularly self-confident that I was having to close the office for business reasons, and that I was very confident in her. I helped her write her resume, I helped her write her cover letter, we got it out to the recruiters, and then I gave her the bracelet. And I said, you're gonna have to make hard decisions. And when you have to make hard decisions, just wear this bracelet and everything will be okay. So she wrote to me just a week or so later and said that she'd worn her bracelet to the interview and she'd smashed the interview and that she'd gotten the job and that she loved the new job. So I no longer have the bracelet. However, I did go ahead and purchase myself another one.
Just in case.
Because the bracelet story is in the book, and for the people who have read it to date, the editors so far, all of them have resounded with that story and wanted to know more about this bracelet. And so I thought others may, when they read the book, want to see and understand and know more about the bracelet. So I have another one, and I figure that bracelet will probably make the same journey. I'll meet somebody one day who just needs that little extra self-confidence, and I'll pass the bracelet along again, and maybe it'll just become a thing.
So you are a leader across the board. You have proven over and over, but are there some moments that really defined your leadership roles? Do you feel like there's like maybe one thing that you were just like, boom, this is it. This is what it looks like?
I would say no, there's not just one thing that I can think of. I think every day is just a journey and you build upon it. It would be much like there's no overnight successes. Like when you read the overnight success stories, you come to find out it took them 10 years to get there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I think the thing that I didn't anticipate in being in a leadership role is I'm very much a doer, and I've always just been a doer by myself, like an individual contributor. And so I really got challenged and pushed outside my comfort zone when I was told I was going to lead a company of 50. So I was a stay-at-home mom of 2, and then leading a company of 50 literally overnight. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. I have an engineering degree, not a business management degree. And I can say that engineering taught me how to solve problems. And thank goodness, because there were a whole host of problems to be solved. So I just started pulling the string on the sweater and unraveling the whole freaking thing and then knitting it back together again.
In a different pattern, in a different shape. And that's a good point right there. You talked about Dad, but our mom was also a stay-at-home mom. And I would say from an early age, moms moms are usually the ones at home. Usually. Things have changed for sure. And now you're dual parent, you know, it's more of a dual parenting because you've got so many activities. But our mom, I would say, taught us how to problem solve better than anybody. And here's my story for you. Ashleigh might kill me. It's the summer, and mom never dried clothes in a dryer. Never, ever. We had a clothesline for that. And not just one little section of clothesline, but like I'm talking 50 yards of clothesline, 3 yards deep, you know. And so mom looked at Ashleigh and I one day and said, I need you to go hang out the clothes. We've got other things to do. So Ashleigh grabbed the clothes basket, and I grabbed the little pin bucket, and out we went. And we have the best picture of us. We could not figure out how in the world we were going to reach one of the higher wires. So Ashleigh said, climb on my shoulders, grab pins, put them in your shirt, climb on my shoulders, and I'll hand you up the clothes. And it's the best picture. I mean, even from an early age, mom gave us a problem, a situation, and we had to tackle it. And that picture is priceless. It pretty much sums up Ashleigh and I in the summer. Like, here's your problem. Here are your clothespins. Now fix it.
Yeah. Go figure this out. You have limited resources.
You have wind powered limited resources. Go. Okay. Nailed it.
It's very important, though, you know, to teach these kiddos problem solving skills, because I mean, we've all heard about the helicopter parents, right? And you want their lives to be perfect, and you want them to be without adversity. But in my opinion, you're doing them a disservice by not having adversity. You need those little bitty problems to solve along the way, so that when you get hit with the big problem, and you're gonna get hit with the big problem, you don't just crumble. You know you have confidence. I can work through this. I can do this.
And you know what? Maybe you don't have confidence. Maybe you don't feel confident, but at least you know that
you can't not do it.
Right. Something else is going to fall apart if you don't do it. So you just have to plow through. And it's going to be messy. It's like my new favorite saying, it's going to be messy. So we'll clean up the mess as we go. Just do it. Just get it done. Okay, so I know you're very busy, and I want to thank you for jumping on here and sharing about the book. We could seriously go on forever, and I think we have a date set up for later this week anyway, so we probably will go on forever, but we won't make y'all listen to it. How can we find your book?
So it will be on Amazon. Since it's self-published, you're going to have to just wait 2 or 3 days to get it published. They'll publish each one as you order. But I did want to make a special offer to your guests. If you want them to email you or hop on your website, I will sign a book for whoever you so choose, and I'll mail it out as soon as I have one in my hand.
So what I'm going to do is on the Inspiring Time website, I'm going to make a page that's specifically for some of these offers, and I will link that in our notes below. And if you are interested, which I know you are, in reading more about leading with grit and grace, you can go there to be entered for a free signed copy. Fresh off the press. I'm so excited for you. Man, now I got to get mine done. We'll get there. I'll get there. So thank you, Ashleigh, so much for sharing with us. And maybe later on we can do a little bit more once I get mine finished. Maybe we could even do a little, not workshop so much as the writing process itself, because it seems like that's a new thing. People really like the idea of sharing their story, having it in writing. So maybe that's something we could share a little bit later.
Yeah, absolutely. I learned a ton in the process. There's way more steps than you would think there are.
But the main step is to
get started.
Yeah, just get started. It's gonna be messy.
It's gonna be messy.
Gonna be messy. All right, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will be talking to you soon.
All right, thank you. See ya.